together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson. Once again, his third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome into Pro Football Today. It's the pregame show with Kasey Hudson, Adam Kaufman, and Dave Sharapan. And don't you worry, you will still see plenty of Tom Vecchio with the in-game live crew today, halftime, and the post-game show. We've got the Eagles taking on the Commanders. We do have a lot of Eagles fans that are ready for this to be a checkmark performance, but more importantly, a lot of the excitement rallies behind the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. He's been so impressive this year, and plus, being able to go against a top defense such as the Steelers and hang in there, that has a lot for us to unpack. So right now we're looking at a 3.5 spread, 49.5 total per FanDuel, but y'all know the deal. We got to introduce the guys, get their initial thoughts on everything. And with the box move around here, we're going to shake things up. Kaufman, what's your thoughts? How's it going? Things are growing in nicely, so everything should be going good for you today, yeah?
Well, listen, we may still see Tom Vecchio at some point during alternative programming. I don't know how well you're going to see me if you could have, like, Blair Witch Project. I'm half in the dark. One of my stupid lights blew out, and so I need a new one. I'm working on that. But eventually, brighter days are ahead, quite literally. At the moment, I guess I'm just going to deal with what I've got right now. This is a fascinating game, and I am very, very excited for it. How nice that it's not like Patriots Jaguars or something like that. Like, we've got a legit Thursday night football game in front of us with first place on the line in the NFC East. Couple of 7-win teams, the Commanders and the Eagles. Kasey, I know you love when I throw out trends. Here are a couple. Commanders have lost 7 straight games as an underdog following a loss. The Eagles, meanwhile, are 0-6 against the spread at home over their last half dozen. So, look, you have to really dig deep into this one to find a strong lean, I think, on a particular side, or whether it be a pretty lofty total pushing against 50 points. I think in terms of the side, that hook 3.5 makes it very important. Even still, I do see people investing in the Eagles. I am personally on the Commanders side of things, although honestly, there are so many Eagles props that I like in this game that we'll get to that I'm not really sure how the Commanders get there, to be perfectly honest, but we'll talk through it all.
I love sometimes how it's hard not to work against yourself with betting, but it can still all work out at the end of the day. So I didn't pick a side, but I feel like everything I chose, which you guys will find out here shortly, has me leaning towards the Commanders. For some reason, I came in studio and already started shooting my mouth off to Kevin and Donnie, who are Eagles fans. So I don't know if I picked a side per se yet, but it seems like the universe has really just put it in lock there. Dave Sharapan, what's going on? You're wearing cool colors. You look nice.
This is all I got. It's only maroon. It's just a throwback when they were called the Redskins. So it's the full jersey, and it's the only maroon hat that I have, although I may have one in store for later. The books need the Commanders. So it's out to 4.5 out here in the desert. So, a lot of people are on the Birds, and it makes perfect sense. I thought I would be in the minority on the book side here, and you guys are telling me Commanders. Rumor has it that the kid that is not in the box with us here today, but is always in our hearts and on the show, is calling it the A.J. Brown game. That's just what I've heard. So I'm sure we'll have those props. If Saquon doesn't score today, that'll be a really big surprise. And there's a lot to like. Most of it is on the Eagles side.
Oh, all right. So that's where we'll start our unpacking. Now, when we talk about the Eagles, you could be somewhat like me. And I'm not even a big Eagles fan, but I feel like Eagles fans might have a little PTSD from some moments throughout this season. Like, not the sexiest moments, a lot of questionable moments, and more so the theme being inconsistency. But all opinions aside, you're talking about a league in passing that 197.8 yards per game, and second in rushing offense, but we know who leads the charge on that one in a number of ways. Philly stands 7th in the league in scoring offense, registering about 25.9 points per game, while they are 5th in the league when it comes to scoring defense, allowing 17.9 per contest. Now, a number of people probably aren't jumping at this 49.5 total, at least what I'm still seeing here, but Adam, let's go ahead and dive into this. Probably the best way to gauge this Eagles offense and defense heading into this matchup versus a Commanders team that could really take it to the limit.
Well, two guys that I'm going to shout out, I should say, probably
quite
a bit. I'm not going to shut them out. In fact, I'm opening my heart to these two gentlemen. I have invested in them quite a bit tonight on the Eagles side. I'm shouting them out, and that is Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown, the aforementioned A.J. Brown. Is he going to the moon tonight? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, these two guys are in prime positions to absolutely go off. The Commanders' defense is nothing special, is particularly weak against number one receivers, especially to the likes of A.J. Brown. I mean, I don't want to blow all my ammo right now and throwing out all the different reasons that you should be supporting A.J. Brown in this game. I guess I'll sprinkle it throughout the show as we're giving out our SGPs and our LLLs and wide receiver breakdowns and all that. The same is true, though, for Saquon Barkley. These are just in very advantageous spots, the two of these gentlemen. Really, what we should be looking at and thinking about on the other side is, especially for those of us that are on the Commanders, that have talked themselves into being on the Commanders, how does it happen offensively? Knowing that this Jaden Daniels-led offense has sputtered a bit of late, played honestly pretty poorly last time out against the Steelers. They still put up 27 points, but 7 of those really came courtesy of special teams. So it was an underwhelming offensive performance. Didn't even total 250 all-purpose yards as a team. And now they're going up against a very comparable, equally impressive Eagles defense that has only gotten better as the season has gotten deeper. This team has won 5 straight games coming out of the bye since that 2-2 start, and have really figured things out to where, again, immensely important game for both of these teams. But I think a lot of the data does point to the Eagles. That's why, whether it's McLaurin or Robinson or Eckler or Ertz or the other Brown, Noah Brown, like, how does it happen? Who gets the lion's share of the target volume? We'll pick through it all.
All right, so some nice illuminations there for the Eagles offense and defense. But Sports King, I got to get your opinion on this, because while that all sounds good and while the Eagles seem like they have a stride, this 0-6 against the spread at home is disturbing. I don't know. It would waver me a little bit. So thoughts on that, or kind of how you gauge this as a fan, knowing that information, or what the Eagles can produce in lieu of it?
Eagles fans aren't afraid of anything, and Eagles backers aren't afraid of anything. So you can't scare them away with an 0-6, Kasey. What
All right.
I'm looking at is this first touchdown or actually anytime touchdown market. I'm sitting here going over it going, there are 11 guys on this list that are at, there it is, plus 340 or lower. And then the next thing is the defense for the Eagles. Will there be a defensive touchdown tonight? There very well might be, but that's a long list. You don't usually see that many guys with, lower than 3.5 to 1. So I think we're going to have to really shoot for multiple opportunities. Hopefully the game ends up looking and sounding like last Thursday with, I don't think 69 points are going to be scored, but let's get over 49.
Let's see if we can rack them up. But once we join back here, Pro Football Today, after the break, we're going to take this all head to head because we've got two quarterbacks that we got to break down, that's for sure. But more importantly, the wide receiving room needs a lot of love. The expectation is high on both sides. And plus, considering that the Commanders can show up a lot better than they did versus the Steelers in all hopes, we're going to see a bit of a big shootout between these two teams. So we got to break down what the total might allude to when it comes to both of these offenses. But more importantly, we got to get into some best bets and so much more. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us here on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
The Seahawks, I expected a bounce back after that poor performance against Buffalo the week before. They took the Rams right down to the wire.
The Cardinals are the top spot at the moment. That's not going to hold. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are not going to win this division, but they are 5-4. After that, you've got the Rams, the Niners, each 4-4. The Niners, God willing, man. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey ever does come back.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have a Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of concern, I would say, for Georgia in Carson Beck. 3 interceptions once again. His third 3-interception game in the last 5 for UGA.
You can argue if they had Alex Orji as their starting quarterback for Georgia, they would be perfect and unbeaten right now just by not turning the football over and running it with your talented backfield.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. It's the pregame show or party with Kasey Hudson, Adam Kaufman, and Dave Sharapan, breaking down tonight's matchup between the Commanders and the Eagles. Some things to consider as we continue to unpack this matchup. Well, the Eagles are a flattering 0-6 against the spread at home. Can they break that luck tonight? And then you've got the Commanders that probably want to prove that they can compete. Two teams looking to pull off a W. One of these teams trying to move up the rankings when it comes to the NFC conversation. So let's get into it, gentlemen. Taking some things head to head. You got two electrifying quarterbacks in their own capacity. I don't know if Jalen Hurts stands in the same category as he was once talked about, but I think he's still exciting to watch. Right now, his yardage is sitting at 227.5 passing-wise, and then I'm seeing Jaden Daniels at 224.5 passing-wise. So, Coffer, dive us in. What is the most flattering angles in terms of props or anything else when it comes to taking these guys head-to-head?
Well, I feel like you might be being just a teensy bit disrespectful to Mr. Jalen Hurts, the king of the tush push.
I said electrifying-ish.
Yeah, but you said he's not quite the same guy that he once was. Well, this dude does have 8 rushing touchdowns over the last 5 games. That's pretty impressive to me. I heard somebody make a claim earlier that I don't know what it is. There's this invisible, barbed wire or tripwire or whatever it is that Eagles players just stumble over when they get to the 1-yard line, because it's amazing how many opportunities that Hurts does have from the 1 to just get, shoved in there from behind. And effectively, he's reliable. That's why the odds are what they are on the Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. It's insane. That being said, I do think that this is a game where it's possible that he doesn't have to do a whole lot. Where, I would lean, pardon me, ever so slightly to his passing over, simply because I think A.J. Brown is in such a place where he could have an amazing game, and this is a really relatively low total. We're looking at it right there, 227.5. Like, if Brown goes for 125, you're only talking about 100 yards to everybody else in that offense. But I think they're going to be leaning quite a bit on Saquon Barkley against a putrid run defense that we'll talk more about later. The bet that really fascinates me, though, is actually the QB on the other side, Jaden Daniels. I went under 226.5 passing yards for Daniels. Again, he is going up against a really, really strong defense that is going to have him under siege, pressuring him quite a bit, much like the Steelers did last week. Maybe not quite the same in terms of the edge rushers, but he is going to be dealing with he's never been in this situation, guys, where he's had to play a short turnaround Thursday night football game in his very young career. And Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator on the other side, whether as a DC or a head coach, he is 22-10 straight up against rookie quarterbacks in his career. He knows how to stifle these guys. All of that adding to the fact that he is mobile, he's fleet of foot. And so I think Daniels may look at this and say, this is an opportunity for me to run a little bit, scamper a little bit, stay out of trouble in that way, and not necessarily lean on my arm quite as much. Plus, Eagles defense, looking at some of the numbers here, the Eagles passing defense is allowing
Adam, are you saying?
Yes.
Are you saying they're all going over? They're both going over their passing yards?
No, I'm saying Daniels. I'm saying Daniels go under his passing yards. Look, if I did not explain that properly, I apologize. 173 passing yards per game allowed by the Eagles this season. 140 passing yards per game allowed over the last 6 games, okay? So I think this is a really opportune spot for the Eagles to frustrate Daniels and limit him, not give many of those big chunk plays that the Commanders' offense relies upon so heavily in the passing game. Under, Dave, 226.5 passing.
Interesting. So I have a quick question on that one, because considering that they're going to have to rely to an extent on airing out the ball in order to go tempo to tempo with this team, what about looking at the passing touchdowns, 1.5 in sorts? Because I know that his production and through the air hasn't been as big as we saw through the first 5 weeks of the season, but he was working through an injury, coming back and stuff like that. But they were debating if the Eagles defense is really that shut down, because beating the Cowboys unfortunately doesn't mean all that much because of everything that they've had going on. What? Did I say?
Why are the Cowboys? Well, no. Why are the Cowboys catching strays tonight? We're not talking about the Cowboys.
Okay. I'll be kind to the Cowboys for you.
We're in the same division.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fair.
Listen.
You shouldn't even care about the Cowboys as a Steelers fan.
The Cowboys stink.
I
Yeah.
can't stand the Cowboys. Let's be
Thank
perfectly
you.
honest here. That's good. I'm glad. I just wanted to make sure I heard it right. No,
You
I
did.
think it's a very good case for. I mean, Hurts is throwing at least one, and the price would tell you that he's throwing two. Now, when you look at the price head to head, the price on Daniels, he's not throwing 2 touchdowns. So I think you got to look at that and go, okay, this is probably going to be a bigger night for, obviously Hurts and the Eagles. But I'm interested in the rushing yards, guys, for the quarterbacks. The number is almost the same. I can't believe that the number for the passing yards is the same. I can't believe the number for the rushing yards is the same. Because how many opportunities is Daniels going to get? It leads me to believe that I would bet that under before I would bet the passing yards under. I think the Eagles are going to really limit his opportunities to get out and make plays rushing the ball, forcing him to throw, where Hurts is, I mean, that number should be 50-something. So I like that rushing yard over for the quarterback. Kind of a little curveball for the quarterback discussion, rushing yards and different things. But we're always looking at different stuff.
I'm kind of on the same page there because typically you guys know I like to combine something at one point. So then I'm thinking Jaden Daniels, why not combine passing with rushing and get closer to a more comparable number? But then I'm thinking to myself, is he really going to be able to run that much? And why not go back to week 3, 4, and 5 pass attack if he has the capability to do so? So I don't know. Maybe I'm measuring that close call to the Steelers a lot more than anybody else is. But we know that I tend to do these things, and I'm not particularly always wrong. Not that I can say so quite yet. But you know, we are going to find out who's going to take on the W head-to-head between Adam and myself, because I'm pretty sure I beat Tom when Adam wasn't here. Now I'm joining the SGP party, and I feel really good about mine. And plus, I think the odds are higher on mine as well, so the payout should be fantastic. Wow. Hopefully, I don't gas this up too much, but make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Follow SportsGrid over at SportsGrid. Make sure you're following these two handsome faces. You can still follow Vecchio. But on the other side of this break that we're up against, we get into some same-game parlays. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us on the other side of this quick break.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be
beautiful.
Big kick.
How did she take that? Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco, she will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine!
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg. That was a solid right hand. Needing some punches.
Watch the back of the head, Chris. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46, I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
Back at it with Pro Football Today, the pregame show with Kasey Hudson, Adam Kaufman, and Dave Sharapan. And I may have been a little unhumble before we went to the break, but we'll see what who the winner is of this. So let's get into some same-game parlays. All right, Adam, to mild my manner, even though I'm playing Tom today, I'm going to let you go first. Out of respect, out of friendship.
First. You can go if you want.
No. It's all on you. It's all on you. So go ahead.
All right.
What do you got for us in the SGP category today?
Okay, well, I've built out a four-legger that I'm excited about. Again, features a couple of the guys that I've been talking up a little bit. In fact, a few of them. Jaden Daniels being the most recent, the under on his passing yards. Now, the number has come down just a little bit since I personally placed it at 226.5. Now it is sitting at 224.5. Even still, I do like the under. Once again, Dave, this Eagles defense, stellar of late against the pass. Over the last 6 games, 140 yards per game allowed to opposing quarterbacks. And again, first time for Daniels playing on this fast turnaround in his young career. The Eagles allow the third fewest passing plays of 20-plus yards. That is a huge part of the Commanders' game. On top of that, A.J. Brown, don't even have to do 80-plus. His base prop is somehow 79.5. We are going over. We are smashing the over. Marshawn Lattimore still out with a hamstring injury. He's not playing in this one. Please tell me how in the world the Commanders are going to defend A.J. Brown, who has gone for 80-plus yards in 5 out of his last 6 games. Only one that he did not achieve. It was a game he left even before halftime as a result of an injury. This is a guy who has absolutely flourished in head-to-head meetings of late against the Commanders. 2 meetings last year, he exceeded 100 yards in each of those games. Moreover, he had 305 total yards in those 2 games. 305 yards in 2 games. He had 17 catches on 21 targets. Decimated that defense on the other side. This is a defense that has been gashed of late by the likes of Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Jamar Chase, when he went to the moon, by the way. Let us look at another leg, and that is Saquon Barkley, who is going up against a very poor rush defense that is allowing about 5 yards per carry to opposing backs. He did not have a heavy workload last week, I think in part to save him for this very important game. The Commanders are ranking near the bottom of the NFL, not only in yards per game or yards per carry allowed, but yards per game, 28th at 142. That included almost 170 during a recent stretch against the Bears, Giants, and Steelers. Not 3 teams that have prolific running backs by any stretch. And you'll notice, and you may be saying, why? Why is Devontae Smith there for just 25-plus yards? Why did you include a minus 600 leg in this same game parlay?
Because it's going to win,
Kasey,
Adam.
No, it's because it's his birthday, Dave. Today is his birthday, and I'm leaning into the birthday narrative. If Devontae Smith can't get 25 receiving yards on his birthday, he should ask for a trade. So that is my SGP.
All right, guys, can we pull the graphic up on mine? Because I think it's like real receiver heavy, starting with the fact that I do have Saquon Barkley, I believe, over 13.5 receiving yards. But, I mean, I saw a combination of rush and receive, and plus he's hit 20 a number of times. He had 40 receiving yards one other game, so this feels like a lock-in. Zach Ertz, I mean, if you're going to make something happen, if you're going to find the magic, it's going to take place in the middle of the field. Whereas the middle of the field heavy, it comes in hot for your tight ends. You know I'm going to get a tight end to the mix. So 32.5, he hit 30 the other game. I think 2 extra yards or 3 extra yards should be no problemo for Zach Ertz. Also, coming freshly off of a birthday, so why not put the birthday love all around? Then McLaurin, over 56.5 receiving yards. I feel to some extent he should be able to pull this off regardless of the success or I guess in some ways I'm hoping lack thereof for the Eagles defense. But in order to progressively get down the field, he's going to have to be able to go to one of his key guys. McLaurin's been that guy, and he's shown up against tight defenses as well. So hopefully the spirals are on point. Hopefully there's a delayed birthday celebration for Ertz, and then we know Saquon Barkley is going to be all over the field tonight. So do you need a minute to digest this one? Because I feel like we're running out of time. And don't feel obligated to go with the best card, which is mine. right
I'll
out
give
the
you the
gate.
verdict after the break. That's fine.
All right.
I'll mull on both of them. That's fine. I will.
So football fans, that means you've got two jobs: following SportsGrid over at SportsGrid, following everybody, all the hosts and all the goods, and then sticking with us on the other side of the break coming up here, because we're going to continue to take the positions head to head. We've got to dive into the wide receivers, and then I know we talk about Saquon Barkley so much, but I think that there's still so much more to talk about when it comes to the running back room. And plus, I mean, Eckler, any love for him? So don't go anywhere. Follow SportsGrid over at SportsGrid. More importantly, hang with us on the other side of this quick break.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
No, it might be
beautiful.
Big kick.
How did she take Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco. She will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine.
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Eating some punches.
Watch the back of the head, quick. Watch the back of the head.
First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46. I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
You are watching Pro Football Today, the pregame show with Kasey, Adam, and Dave. Tom in spirit, but you guys will see him shortly on In-Game Live. But in case you missed it, before we cut to the break, we had our SGP off. Can we say it that way, Adam? An SGP off? Or does that sound bad?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I think if male models in Zoolander can have a walk-off, we can have an SGP
We can
off.
totally. Okay. And then we'll pick
Nice
croutons and so on and so forth later. Thank you for entertaining me with that one. Anyway, so in case you missed it, we just threw our SGPs out there. I had a bit of a confidence moment, but I forgot to lay some extra groundwork, okay? So I got McLaurin to make some good connections with Daniels tonight, but let's just consider this. Versus the Steelers, who has a good defense, 113 receiving yards through 5 receptions. This is a guy who has a tendency to still be able to slice up good defenses, and I think that's where I will rest my case. So, Dave, it's up to you. No pressure to pick the best card on the table. You know, look at the value, look at all the angles, look at both of the people.
Maybe the first one you heard.
The first one I heard was yours, and put it back up if you can, boys, because it looks great. Like, Adam, you did an unbelievable job with this one tonight.
4 legs has been pretty lucky for Adam as of late.
Four has been good. Like, four works, okay? The Brown one, yes. Barkley, yes. The birthday one, I mean, who knew that you could play a bet for a birthday? But that's fine. It works. The Daniels one, I think, is going over. So I'm going to put that one on pause, which would lead me to Kasey's. And she found a way to use the tight end in hers, and that works. If you guys got that one, there it is. McLaren's going over because someone has to for Washington. And this would be an Adam type prop where you get the running back receiving yards in there. So for that reason tonight, I have to go with Kasey. I have to go with that one. Plus 551. Adam, I love yours. All three of the other ones except for the passing yards for Daniels. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me on Twitter and tell everyone else on Twitter that you were right again.
No, I get it. Listen, I will readily admit that taking the under on passing yards when the total is as low as it is, and there are so many arguments to do so, which is why I gave out the play, but it's definitely a hold your nose and try not to puke in your mouth kind of wager. I get it. I get it. I absolutely get it.
What a description.
I hate that when that happens.
Right?
Puking in your mouth? Yikes.
It's sort of like taking the Commanders at plus 3.5 like I did earlier.
Kind of. I'm actually surprised. The only thing, Case, before you move on and get us going, I'm surprised you didn't involve the Lightning to end the Winnipeg Jets' little run as part of your same game parlay. I figured you might find a way to work the hockey and the Lightning into all of this. That's the only surprise.
I bet the Lightning money line tonight for you, Kasey.
I still have a plan. Oh, thank you. See, and this is why there's so much peace in today's pregame show. Yes. It's really vibing because you know why I'm not offended by your SGP, Adam? Because in the beginning of the show, you had mentioned that like you're leaning Commanders, but everything that you're going to throw out there or puke out there is going to be highly Eagles heavy content and picks. So all puke aside, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be offended by any of this. But of course, guys, I'm going to figure out a way to work the Lightning into all of this. It was actually going to come up in the LLL series. So hold on to your horses before we get into the hockey talk. That's for sure. But I don't want to offend any Rangers fans by some of my comparisons either. Let's get back into some – I think you set me up to do that. Getting back into some head-to-head, I talked about these wide receivers. We know A.J. Brown's going to be the top of the talk for this one. More importantly, as you guys saw, we're down a box tonight because Tom's going to the big desk for a little bit. But he did mention it is an A.J. Brown game. Huh? You do what?
So was he promoted?
Oh,
He's going to the big desk.
He's been promoted. While us, the lives of the party are still on the small desk and on the mirrors or the TVs. So let's go ahead and talk about this wide receiving group. It's the A.J. Brown game, according to one of your favorites, Tom Vecchio. But Adam, get us going here, comparing where the more favorable lines may lie. Either continue to stack on the A.J. Brown, which is a part of your SGP. I wouldn't be shocked there. Or try to give some love to the Commanders in that 3.5 spread that you laid.
The thing with Terry McLaurin, look, you mentioned all the reasons that he should have a serviceable game, and obviously it's a modest prop there sitting in the mid-50s, and I'm not going to sit here and say, I take the under. Like, I can understand the case for him going over. I just don't want to personally invest in it either way, simply because, well, there are two reasons. One, I've already told you I like the under on passing yards for Jaden Daniels. I've said it over and over, and so if I'm in on that, I'm not going out of my way to take overs on Commanders pass catchers. It just doesn't make sense.
But if
Tom were here, he'd be talking. If Tom were here, he'd be talking to you all about relation. That's a correlated logic right there.
Correlation.
But on top of that, if you look up and down the game long for Terry McLaurin, there's an inconsistency there. Yeah, like you shouted out 113 on 5 catches last time out. Hell of a performance against the Steelers in that loss. Well, how about the week before, when he was targeted 3 times and had 2 catches for 19 yards? Or how about, mid-October when, he went 6 catches, 53 yards against the Ravens? That would have come just under that receiving total that you're talking about. He had 52 on 7 grabs, just no yak, no yards after the catch at all to speak of in a game in Arizona earlier this year. Back-to-back gains to open up the year. And in fairness, I guess Daniels was a different quarterback at that point in time. It was his first 2 games of his career, obviously, but 17 yards in week 1, 22 yards in week 2. The game log is littered with this stuff for Terry McLaurin, so he is simply on the I don't trust him list. And, Devonta Smith is too, by the way. That's why I only put him at 25 yards in that same game parlays because I don't trust him to go crazy either. And he's dealing with a hamstring injury, so this is another reason not to trust him.
All right. So you made a great case there, but just to be like slightly combative and to counter half of what you just said. To be fair, earlier in the season or through a lot of parts of the season, these were one of the teams that you put in that category of he has so many targets to go to. And I remember us all talking about it when they played the Bengals, and we just saw them slicing up the Bengals defense, one guy after another. It was McLaurin, it was McCaffrey, it was Ertz, it was Brown, it was Eckler, it was Brown. He went through 9 different targets that game, but the top 4, McLaurin, 100 receiving yards through 4, McCaffrey, 44 receiving yards through 3, Ertz, 38 receiving yards through 5. So maybe there's just a script out there that I'm hoping that they pull out of their pocket and say, this worked once upon a time. Oh, let's try it again. So that's my only thing for going back to McLaurin.
I do wonder that should we be talking more about Noah Brown? Like, I don't feel like we're ever talking about Noah Brown. And I'm not even saying that is, unjustified. But the last 3 games, Noah Brown has been targeted a total of 19 times, has a total of, I'm doing math on the fly, 11 catches, and he has had 33 yards, not much, 60 yards, 73 yards, and a touchdown. He is a part of this offense. I was looking earlier at, when I was building the parlay and looking at some alts and that sort of thing. For whatever reason, maybe there's something Vegas in the books, no, Dave, that I don't. But like Noah Brown at just 25 plus yards, it's like minus 200 or something like that. Like there are no expectations for Noah Brown. You go, what's his prop in this one?
38 and a half receiving yards. Reception-wise,
not enough.
He's sitting at 3.5 at plus money.
Over.
Ooh.
Over on him.
All right, we're going to have to get into that one.
Under heavily juiced. So I think the thing for me is that how many options there are on the Philly side versus now you just mentioned Brown being, I think, really the only other option in a game with a defense like Philly. So, Case, think about this one when we get to the next segment. You're comparing Cincy's defense.
Oh, no. I get it. That was a bit of a fail on my part. You can't compare those two. Yeah, it was just, honestly, I was being combative. I opened up and said I was being combative. But regardless, I do like the Noah Brown angle. Also looking at 3.5 at plus money. Stick with us here on Pro Football Today as we continue to practice on the other side of this quick break.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be beautiful. Big kick.
How did she take that? Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco. She will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine.
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Eating some punches.
Watch the back of the head, quick. Watch the back of the head.
First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Oh, nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46, I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
Vinny's fired up. I like when Vinny brings the energy.
You are watching Pro Football Today, the pregame party with Kasey, Adam, and Dave. And to make this party even sweeter, we're going to get into some like it, love it, or leave it. Let's roll it. Okay, as much as it probably is like etiquette for me to go first, I'm going to make you go first again, Adam, because I said so. So what do you have for like it, love it, and leave it?
Changing the rules.
So I know a lot of the time that we'll dive into the FanDuel game specials and look at this guy to, have at least 5 rushing yards in each quarter, or this tandem to combine for 250 receiving yards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just built something myself that I liked. I think I laid out all the reasons. I'm not going to do it again for the people that have been tuning in here, but all the reasons that A.J. Brown is due for a really big game. And Saquon Barkley, same deal as well. So as you are seeing, I just put them together and laddered them up. A.J. Brown, 125 plus receiving. Again, he has done, he had 300 plus against this team last year over 2 games. And then Barkley, I won't get overly greedy. You'll notice it's rushing plus receiving yards, 100 plus. So it's not rushing for 100 or obviously, receiving 100. He is a running back, but rushing plus receiving 100 plus. So this 2-leg parlay plus 655 available to you out there, but shop around.
You know what? I'm so glad I made you go first because I don't hate it. So I saved myself for last.
What a compliment.
I saved myself for last because I knew you guys would love this one, and I didn't want to steal Adam's shine, even though I'm about to. All right, Saquon Barkley, first quarter, touchdown, plus 360.
Really? Really?
It's like you're just trying to give me the win.
Wow. Who doesn't want a thriller of a first quarter TD that finally lands its spot? I mean, I've been so close. And we've had fans write on comment at SportsGrid, and they're like, don't give up on it, Huddy. It's so close. It's right there. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all are right. Why would I give up? I'm not a quitter. So here we go. Barkley, first quarter TD. Love it.
Okay. I like it.
I'm not forcing your hand here.
You are. All right. So we're seeing the Barkley graphics, and this is all well and good. Let's work in reverse again. Case, do you think he's going to score the first touchdown of the game? If it happens in the first quarter, does the first quarter have the first touchdown of the game?
First TD of the game is at 4:10. The only reason I steer away from that is because, who starts with the ball and, that weird first quarter or, first half tango that we have, that first guy to get in the end zone, sometimes it's a bit of a surprise. And usually everyone likes to talk about Goddard.
You could do that.
Uh-huh.
Why are you guys talking me out of this? Is this the only way I'm going to catch some love tonight? Is if I just change my mind?
No, only because there's
there's other options, other ways to shop the same play. Yeah.
And it's the same play, but it's better prices. I want you to have the best price. Okay, so you know that. I don't want you to get sold short from the book. So my concern is if you think it's going to be in the first quarter, I know you like nice stuff. I want you to get the best price.
All right. I'll up the ante. I'll take first CD.
All the jackets with shoulder pads. Get you all the shoulder pads.
All of them. Let's ramp
I
it
have
up,
removed the shoulder pads from the closet as of late. If you guys did not notice, actually,
right,
but this collar is trying to strangle me. So maybe there's something else about to get removed from my closet. All right, you convinced me. If I up the ante, 410, first TD, first tutty. What do I get?
I think he's scoring. If it's not him, it's Hurts. Okay, so I'll give you the like. I don't love it, but I don't want to leave it because I think you're in play.
All right,
I think you're in play. I think you're in play just for the first touchdown. Get the best price.
Yep, sure.
Adam, you are extra. You. It's such a good. You got the 2 right guys, and I want to love it. I really do. But you just go too much, extra. If you'd have just said 100 and 100, the payout would have been very nice. Instead, Vinny, pull Adams back up. I know. He's always shooting for the moon. And it's fine because you did hit a 22-1. You did. And we have to remind people of that. But I can't love this one because A.J. Brown listen, I hope this is right. The Barkley one should hit. I like what you did combining the rushing and receiving because he's probably going to catch a swing pass, one of those little routes out of the backfield and take it for a good chunk of yardage. He might have over his longest reception thing. This looks good, enough to like. I can't love it. We're on a like basis tonight.
Oof, we are a lot alike. We went from a whole lot of love, which is a great song, to a whole lot of like, which I don't know that song. So before we come up against the break here, let's start looking at some of these rush props. We've talked a lot about Barkley, obviously, what my expectation is for him tonight. And then you got Hurts, who, of course, likes to use his legs. Daniel's not afraid to use his either. I'm seeing Brian Robinson Jr. on the list at 50.5, and then Eckler at 23.5. So your ears perked up, Dave. What are you pondering here?
Under. How are they going to run the ball? I would look to the Washington rushing guys under Robinson. Maybe attempts. Maybe they'll keep trying to run the ball. Adam, anything for rushing for Washington?
You can pause on that one.
I'd rather play Eckler rushing plus receiving. Eckler rushing plus receiving. I just think that, again, he's going to be a part of the pass catching game. We've seen some great games receiving for Eckler so far. I think he's good for at least one, probably 2 or 3 catches, which, by the way, good parlay builders as well if you're looking for some pieces to use. And, I don't have any confidence. Doesn't mean he won't get there. I just don't personally want to invest in Austin Eckler over on rushing. I'm more comfortable with his receiving yardage. In terms of Robinson, no, I don't know. I don't want this. Remember, he's coming back from injury. This is a guy that, earlier in the week, we weren't even sure if he was going to play. I don't want to chase 55, 60 yards out of him. And again, with Jaden Daniels, he had a lot of trouble running the ball last time out against Pittsburgh, and we're sitting here saying that this is a comparable defense on the other side. He had 5 rushing yards, guys, 5 in that last matchup. So,
we're on the same page.
He's going to have 40 or 50 here.
We're on the same page with that. Don't go anywhere. More to unpack on the other side of this quick break here on SportsGrid.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
No, it might be. Beautiful. Big kick.
How did she take that? Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco. She will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, there's a guillotine!
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Needing some punches.
Watch the back of the head, quick. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46, I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFF Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg!
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
unders before Kyrie Irving got ruled out.
Back at it with Pro Football Today, the pregame show with Kasey, Adam, and Dave. Before the break, we were discussing the running back room, and Adam was making a strong case as to say, do not even touch it, or Dave was saying under, whereas I do not disagree. I will say, anybody who, say we take it from like a fan betting perspective, they love the Commanders. They want to find things that work for them. Eckler's sitting at 23.5, pulled off 44 rushing yards versus the Steelers defense. Is the Steelers run-stop defense more potent than the Eagles run-stop defense? Adam, I toss it back to you.
Ultimately, there's only one person in the rushing game in this game that I trust in, and that is Saquon Barkley, as I have mentioned 1,000 times over at this point. So
1,001.
At least. So that's where I want to go in terms of the rushing. This is a complicated one because unless you have a strong conviction as to who is going to win the game, it's hard to kind of get into those tell yourself a story conversations about, who's going to be trying to bleed the clock in the second half and who's going to be running like that. That's where you come up with all these extra run opportunities for Saquon or Gainwell, or on the other side, Robinson, Eckler. It's who's ahead and by how much, and is the other team forced to pass and all of that stuff. I think we're in line for a pretty close game ultimately, though, and I hope it comes down to the wire. I do, so long as the Commanders at least cover.
Long as the Commanders
the wire?
Yes, the
he's
wire.
talking just like me. He's saying Jaguar. He's saying wire. We're going to run a lot of things back down to the wire. Well, he works on balancing the wire.
I'm excited. Narratives. I mentioned Devontae Smith's birthday.
You
talked about you mentioned Zach Ertz earlier.
Just had a B-day.
How about revenge narrative? He's going against his old team. And Jahan Dotson's going against his old team.
Zach Ertz, 50 receiving yards. Boom.
Has Vecchio placed a wager on the Dotson-Ertz anytime touchdown parlay? That's what I want to know. Because that's narrative street like you read about.
Actually, I'll have an opportunity to ask him because while he was promoted to the big desk, he has to come hang on this side of the valley for just a hot minute once I dismiss you two. So, while we're on the theme, because we brought up the tight ends, or at least a little bit with Zach Ertz, I can always count on you, Dave, to show so much more love to the tight end. So both of these numbers are sitting identical, 32.5, 32.5. Zach Ertz can have that again, delayed birthday celly. More importantly, you've got Goddard coming back, I believe, from an ankle injury, but he's been a high red zone target in a number of ways. So how do we kind of make some magic with this pairing?
Oh boy, Case, you really put me on the spot. You put me.
You
in
can
the
sprinkle your final thoughts in the mix of it.
Puck in there. That's fine.
Tight ends to the moon, and your final thoughts.
Two guys with like 3 receptions apiece and 38 yards and like maybe a touchdown. I don't know. Those are both tough. I think maybe whose birthday is it? Ertz over.
All right.
Goddard under. Both quarterbacks to throw an interception? I don't think so. Ooh. I think only one of them's throwing a pick tonight. It's probably going to be Jalen Hurts at that plus price. Yes on him. No on, Jay Daniels probably not. We got so many things we got to talk about. I mean, coffee is for closers, and I don't know who gets it. All right, well, you got to go get that coffee. You got to make sure that when you get it, and it's hot, and you want to drink it. Yeah. I wore this. This is the only burgundy hat I have except for this other one. All right. And I was waiting to wear it. The Fat P. This is Philadelphia's game. Yes. This is Philadelphia's game. They're going to win the game. All right. We saw it Sunday night when the Lions won by 3 and they didn't cover. This game could fall in the middle. This could be a 3-point game. And if it is, the books will be crying the blues tomorrow. Everybody likes when the books are crying the blues. Case, Philly by 3. How about that?
All right. I'm not going to go against you here. I'm just going to stay right here neutral and continue to celebrate my props and see how those things pop off and see, if the SGP can really, really come to life here. But more importantly, you guys are waiting for the moment. If nobody saw it, Tampa Bay Lightning is on top right now. So go Bolts.
Let's go.
Other than that, Follow SportsGrid over at SportsGrid over on X. It's nice and simple at SportsGrid. As I just mentioned, follow Adam Kaufman, follow Dave Sharapan, follow our conversation that will go over to Twitter once Pro Football Today, the pregame party, stops. The party doesn't stop because it continues over on X when the in-game live crew takes over. But I talked about this guy, Tom Vecchio, a number of times. You know him. He's the third member of the party that's usually on the wall. He'll be joining me on the wall live and in person to give his bets, angles. I know. If only he would have done his strut through. But regardless, you don't want to miss me and Tom live here at SportsGrid headquarters to join us on the other side.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be
beautiful. What a level.
Big kick.
How did she take Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco. She will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water. Oh, here's the guillotine!
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh. An overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Needing some punches.
Watch the back of the head, Chris. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Oh, nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course we are.
Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9-46, I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. The pregame party is almost over, but you guys know the deal. In-game live will take over to make sure they keep you privy and on top of the best lines, odds, numbers, all the things you're going to want to be gauging through this one. And before Tom Vecchio gets a chance to drop his knowledge on this game, I got a chance to ask him some questions beforehand in terms of gauging it. Now, whenever the total is sitting at this 49.5, which it is still sitting at, but the spread has shifted yet again. You heard Dave Sharapan talk about what it was looking like out in the desert. Well, the books have now hopped on the East Coast, so it was going down on the West Coast. 4.5 is what I'm currently seeing on the spread. 180 for the Commanders' money line. So if you're one of those fans out there that's like they can keep this close or potentially take over, gauge that. But this is why the in-game live crew comes in so strong, because when Tom and I were talking, he mentioned that this total is probably something between these two teams that you're going to want to live watch. You're going to want to see when you can jump on it, maybe if it lowers enough to make it make sense. So this is probably one of the things that I want you guys to keep an eye on before the in-game live crew tells you all of the goodies surrounding that also. Update on the spread sitting at the 4.5 as mentioned, but more importantly, taking it back to the running back conversation for just a second. If you guys were hanging out with myself, Adam Kaufman, and Dave Sharapan, we were talking about some of those guys that kind of come into the mix or can be expected to help out just a little bit. And what I love about this is usually when Vecchio is on the pregame party with us, he has an opportunity to tell us some secondary guys to keep an eye on. Now, Eckler's not a secondary guy, but I will reiterate this. I'm pretty surprised at the fact that his rushing yards are sitting at 23.5, not because I don't trust that the Eagles' defense is going to be stout enough to come in with a good run-stop defense, but if you can put up 44 on the Steelers' run-stop defense, I feel like you should be able to pull, I don't know, 24, 25 rushing yards on an Eagles defense. But to keep me humble and sane, we got Tom here to let me know if I'm being off the charts or what the case may be. So we didn't dive too deep into the running back group because immediately it's Barkley.
Right.
I know that you like to keep things concise, make it make sense, make it synergistic. But if we're looking at any running back action outside of Barkley or props that would make sense in this matchup, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
I like Barkley over 13.5 receiving, 13, 14, wherever it might be.
I have it. I threw it in the SGP today in honor of you.
You know me. I don't like going to a running back that has a number up at 80, 90. That's an efficient line. That's where it should be. You know, we look to the Commanders. They're actually top 10 in league in QB blitz per dropback. So if Hurts is under pressure, yeah, he's going to scramble at times. We will certainly see that. I mean, we're going to see some good props from Hurts. But we're also going to see those dump downs to Barkley. And 13.5 yards is something that in one catch, I should say. He's going to jump over 3 people, apparently. And he'll be at that number. So I like over the receiving. The 110 or so rushing plus receiving, I think, is a little touch and go. If you want to be on the over on this game and you're expecting 50 points, I would probably add that in as well, but it's not a main play for me today.
All right, I didn't want to speak on your behalf. As you guys see, I don't have to do that. Tom's hanging out with us in studio today, but I did mention the little chit-chat we were having in terms of, like, look, this total, the expectation of what can happen points-wise, maybe something to hop on live. You'll be with the in-game live crew. But I love that you took Barkley for 13.5 receptions because, I mean, receiving yards, excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. Because that can happen in one reception is where I was going with that. We saw one reception for 12 yards, and then we saw 4 receptions for 40 yards. There's a number of ways to work this guy in. So talk to me about your initial thoughts of this matchup between the Eagles and Commanders.
I think we're going to see some points. You know, we were talking about, pre-show about what we're going to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if this ends around 24-20, 24-21. It'll end right at that spread of 3.5 or 4 points, wherever it's jumping to. I think that's important. I think we're going to see good points. I don't know if we're going to see 60 points, 55 points tonight. This is a divisional matchup at the end of the day. Whoever wins this is going to be 3-0. But a 24-20 final or 24-21 would give us 6 touchdowns, 3 on each side. We're going to get the main guys in the end zone. It's going to be some combination of Barkley, Hurts, Smith, and A.J. Brown, specifically Brown, who I'm high on. And then we're going to get Brian Robinson back in the mix for the Commanders, who's missed their past few games. Maybe we get Terry McLaurin. Maybe we get someone else. Maybe it's Daniels rushing in. Maybe we should be alting Daniels to the moon, as Joe Lisi would say. But we're going
half passing yards for Jaden Daniels. But considering that in order to work down the field for the most part, not relying on the run game, he's going to have to be able to air out that ball. So how do you perceive this one? 220,
I think, or 224, I think is a good number. You know, what I spoke to Donnie and Ben about on the early line this morning is Robinson's missed the past 2 games, and we've also seen Daniels' numbers take a little bit of a step back. And we've spoken on countless post-game shows about how efficient Daniels has been moving the ball. They built an offense around him. Like, they look awesome. But his numbers have taken a little bit of a step back. So if we have a running back coming back that I expect to be fully involved, they want to get him back into the flow of the offense. Plus, Eckler's been pretty good over the past 2 weeks.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a surprise to see him end right around that mark because they have balance in the running game where they don't need to put it on the shoulders of Daniels. So I want to stay away from that number. If he ends up going over because we see a ton of points, he ends with 240, I'm not going to be shocked. If he ends with 210 and we see big running game from the 2 running backs, I'm also not going to be shocked. So if I'm not confident either way, I simply just stay away.
Nah, don't touch it. But I do like that perspective as well because more importantly, when you don't have that pressure to not know that you're going to have to be heavy on one side or the other and you have that option to be more of a balanced attack, what's something else that we've said about Jaden Daniels? Calm, composure, his confidence. Now he's going to be able to tap back into all of that. So start talking to me about some of your best bets in this matchup.
Yeah, let's get to it. As you know, people know on the pregame show, I like to say it's a specific player's day, and that would be A.J. Brown for a touchdown at plus 130. I also like him specifically over 28.5 for his longest reception. We look back at his game log. He's consistently going over 40 yards. It's the same thing that he did last year, going over 40, 60 yards, the 67-yard touchdown, I believe it was, in week 1 when they were in Brazil, breaking off that long touchdown. This is his role. He has a 14.5 A-dot average depth of target. He gets down the field. That is his role. He also hasn't scored in a couple weeks. And again, I'm always going to be buying into a player that has high involvement in the offense, a high target share, high red zone target share, and they haven't scored in a while. So A.J. Brown for a touchdown tonight.
Oh, I like that. Again, I told you guys where Tom was leaning, or I think Kaufman set it up, but it is an A.J. Brown game. We always know to keep a close eye on that one. Let's talk about some other wide receivers, because what do you think the involvement will be when it comes to McLaurin? You've got him sitting, or just went from 54 receiving yards up to 61.5 receiving yards. Now, this is pretty decent movement, I'd say, within 45 minutes, last I checked the books.
I mean, McLaurin is their number 1 receiver. We do see a good balance after him, and I can see a realistic scenario where McLaurin doesn't have a massive game because Zach Ertz gets involved, because Noah Brown gets involved, because we see good running usage from Eckler and Brian Robinson. So if I'm going to McLaurin, I think the best bet is probably a touchdown instead of going, oh, he's going to have 80 yards tonight. Mm-hmm. He's going to have this a massive role. He could have, I would say he may hit the under on his receptions, but still hit the over on his yards because he does have good run after the catch ability. So him ending with 3 catches or 4 catches, I would have to double-check what his reception prop is, but him ending with 4 catches and still having 60 yards, I think is plausible.
All right, I love that. That works good for my card that won over Adam, by the way, just in case you were wondering who won in your stead, I should say. Quickly, before we send you to the big desk, let's take the tight ends head-to-head because you got Ertz, 34.5. Goddard's coming back in the mix, even though he's coming back from an ankle injury, but we know that the workload that comes for him, especially target-wise, red zone-wise. So what do we like between these tight ends?
I like Ertz to go over on his yards. I think he should play a good involvement. He has a 19.6 target share, which is second highest on the team for the Commanders. This is also a revenge game. He's going up against his former team. He played there for a number of years. Goddard is always interesting because there's such a high usage between A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Saquon Barkley that there are times that Goddard just gets pushed out of the offense. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to be expecting 50 points and that's where you're leaning, Goddard will probably be involved in some capacity. Will it be a massive 60-yard game? No, because that probably means Smith or Brown is probably having a slow game, which I'm not anticipating. So I'm fine with both numbers, but Ertz is my favorite just because I think he plays a bit of a bigger role in their offense specifically.
All right, Tom and I are on the same page when it comes to the tight end love. Not to mention, to check out the values when it comes to one of those tight ends getting into the end zone. And he painted the picture for you. If you're going to lean towards a TE tonight, it's going to be Zach Ertz. We love a revenge narrative. Adam was waiting for it. I didn't deliver on it, but thank God we still had you here to put the delivery on this game. As I mentioned, Tom Vecchio is heading up to the big desk with the big guys for the in-game live crew with Kevin and Donnie to keep you privy to all of the best lines, odds, player prop bets, anything you want to track or continue to track throughout the game. And then he'll be back here for halftime, and then we got the post-game show. So keep all of your Thursday night football coverage with us here on SportsGrid TV. Follow SportsGrid over at SportsGrid. You can still follow Tom. He'll be able to chat with you just a little bit, but more importantly, it's time for you guys to go hang out with the in-game live crew to get on top of this Thursday night matchup. I'll catch you guys at halftime.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age. Larissa Pacheco, only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller. Equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
No, it might be beautiful.
Big kick. The Seahawks, I expected a bounce back after against Buffalo the week before. They took the Rams right down to the wire.
The Cardinals are the top spot at the moment. That's not going to hold. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are not going to win this division, but they are 5-4. After that, you've got the Rams, the Niners, each 4-4. The Niners, God willing, man. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey ever does come back.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Receiving court.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone had him Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Eberflus Coach of the Year. He was terrible.
If he's going to be a success, he's got to play within structure as much as possible. I get it. If the pocket breaks down, throw off the platform. That's fine. But within structure, when the play's there to be made, you need to make it, and he didn't do that.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This would have been a bet that I would have lost big on in terms of betting on Trevor Lawrence thus far. Because, Vinny, I thought he was an absolute rock-solid, can't-miss first overall pick.
They're underachieving a bit. I mean, I don't think this is the best adjustment team with Doug Peterson. He's not the best adjuster. If everything's kind of falling into